Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining Trustpilot's latest webinar on should auto retailers embrace a new digital era. I know it's beautiful weather outside, it's sunshine, so I thank you for locking yourself in and spending the next few minutes with me. It won't just be me. I've got my got one of my customers, Nathan Quayle at Fords of Winsford, who is also joining us. So what I'm going to do is run through our agenda. So I'll cover off an introduction, a little bit more about myself and Nathan, who we work with, and in regards to Trustpilot, a little bit about us, and then we'll get into the bulk of today's webinar, which is twofold. So I'll cover off the changing landscape of the auto industry and how that ties into digital. And then Nathan's going to cover off his Fords of Winsford case study of building trust and transparency throughout the customer journey. It's a little bit about me. I joined Trustpilot in, well, it was May 2014, so just approaching 4 years. Feels like yesterday. I've been part of the sales team during that time, and around 2.5 years ago, I launched our automotive team. So we've been building relationships ever since with household names that you'd expect us to work with. And yeah, still here and still really very much enjoying it. And I've got Nathan here as well. Nathan, are you there?
Yep, hello everybody. So my name is Nathan Quayle. I've been heading up the marketing team here at Fords of Winsford for around 18 months now, covering all areas and all aspects from brand, PR, TV, radio, website, digital and social channels, focusing and encapsulating all that around our customer experience and what we can provide our customers.
Awesome. And you'll hear more from Nathan in a little bit. Cool. So about Trustpilot, for those that don't know, we were founded in Copenhagen 11 years ago, so originally a Danish startup. We conquered Scandinavia and thought, where should we branch out to next? And as good Vikings do, landed in the UK, built Trustpilot as a brand here, and we're now a global company of about 650 people. So we've got a couple of offices in America, we've got Melbourne, and we've got a few central offices in Europe, and I'm based here in London. Sunny St Paul's for a nice change. So a little bit about Trustpilot. We're here for a main reason of helping consumers and businesses interact more through reviews. So sharing experiences, building trust, building transparency. In turn, that helps people buy with confidence. So the more confidence you can build with a prospective customer, the more likely they are to buy from you. And ultimately, we're here for helping businesses harness the power of reviews that they're collecting with the strong consumer awareness that Trustpilot has. So if we look at our brand in the UK, although we were launched in 2007 as a company, it wasn't until sort of 2012, 2013 that we built a strategy in terms of working with UK companies. Gone from strength to strength since then. Over 7,000 UK businesses leverage Trustpilot on their website and other channels. On a typical month, over 5 million people in the UK receive a review invitation from Trustpilot. So if you look at that volume, 18 to 65-year-olds in the UK, that age range is about 46 million people. So 12% of that core buying population of 18 to 65 are hearing from Trustpilot every month. Not only are they hearing from us from an invitation perspective, but they're seeing us. So on an average month, we get anywhere between 850 to 950 million brand impressions. Now, that sounds like a made-up number or something that you can't really get your head around. Well, all it is the number of times Trustpilot's branding has been seen online, be it Google, be it a company's website, be it an email signature, newsletter, etc. So yeah, brand's getting very strong. We've got over 16 million reviews in the UK. Our website is the 98th most visited website, so Alexa ranking pulls through all of those stats. So yeah, we're certainly getting there in terms of becoming a household name. Now, who we work with, Trustpilot's not renowned for being a review partner for a specific industry. We're a review partner for all industries, so be it Ann Summers, be it Carphone Warehouse, be it Halfords, be it Saga. We're a review company for the many rather than the few. But in the automotive world, we've built a very strong baseline of dealerships, so household names that people will be familiar with: Arnold Clark, Stratstone, Trustford, etc. But we're also part of your prospective customers' car buying and ownership cycle. So if you think about where you would start by buying or selling a car online, you probably will start on Auto Trader for the sale of an existing car, or maybe We Buy Any Car if you want to sell it quickly. And both of those platforms collect reviews on Trustpilot. Both have over 25,000 reviews with us and excellent scores to boot. And they use their Trustpilot ratings and reviews not only on television advertisements. You may have seen Philip Schofield and We Buy Any Car have teamed up for some new TV ads. They reference their Trustpilot score there, but across other channels as well. If your new car owner has just gone online and looked for breakdown cover, they'll probably stumble across the RAC. Again, they use Trustpilot. Perhaps if they need finance, they'll go to Moto Novo. So not only do dealerships work with Moto Novo, but consumers as well. So we're certainly part of that ownership cycle. And in terms of specific dealerships and how they leverage their website and advertising, you've got motors.co.uk and Auto Trader. So if you're a dealership and you're looking to advertise your vehicles, Auto Trader and Motors, they're the two initial port of calls. Of course, there are other platforms as well. Trustpilot has a relationship with both to feed dealer reviews through. So if your prospective customer is starting their search on Auto Trader and they stumble across a car that you've got for sale, they can see your Trustpilot reviews before they've even hit your website or called up for a test drive. So it's all about building trust at that early stage, but Nathan will definitely cover that off and the relevance to his company. So what we're going to do now is talk about the first part of today's webinar, the changing landscape of automotive retail. Now, we did some research with YouGov, so this was tail end of last year, and we ran a survey with them and asked some specific questions, and we got some very interesting data at the back of it. Now, it's not a surprise that 92% of consumers now read online reviews before purchasing online. If you look at eBay, Amazon, TripAdvisor, those three platforms were born off of peer-to-peer reviews, and you certainly wouldn't book a restaurant or hotel if the majority of the reviews were bad on TripAdvisor, nor would you buy something off of eBay if the seller ratings was poor, nor would you buy a product from Amazon unless you saw sufficient positive product reviews, service reviews to instill confidence in that purchase. So nearly everybody. To be fair, I'm surprised that figure's not higher than 92%. Now, if we look at car buying and how that's changing, some of the feedback we got is 87% of people would buy a car online, could buy a car online, but would need to test drive it before buying. So there's still a human interaction required. We're not quite there yet in terms of sitting in your lounge on your iPad, pressing 5 or 6 buttons, speccing your next car and having no interaction whatsoever. Certainly a test drive is important to the majority of people, but there are car manufacturers now providing test drives without so much of a dealer interaction. I'll come on to that in a moment. And another interesting stat we pulled out, and this relates directly to how consumers are buying cars. 45% admit they would purchase through an online channel to get a better price. So relevant example is CarWow. CarWow have changed for quite a number of people how they buy their next car and being able to save the time and the hassle of going from dealership to dealership in order to secure the best price. They can do it from the comfort of their own home, and obviously dealerships can reach out to that customer via the CarWow platform and put forward their best price. And CarWow, again, are another Trustpilot customer where they're collecting thousands of reviews on an annual basis to demonstrate why you should be using their platform to choose their next car. Now, the way we purchase cars has changed significantly. So through PCP and competitive dealer finance, it's changed a lot over the last 10 years. If we look back to 2008, 2009 on this Business Insider graph. So Business Insider, if you guys are not familiar with it, it's an excellent portal online for anything financial, anything business related in the UK. This is a chart they put together outlining how car purchases have changed significantly in terms of paying cash via your own savings, etc., to the explosion of competitive dealer finance and PCP. So because of this, consumers are now seeing their vehicle ownership similar to that of a white good or an appliance. They're not buying a vehicle for life, they're not buying a vehicle for 10 years, they're not really even buying a vehicle for 5 years. Based on the PCP and finance deals put forward, typical car ownership is around 3 years. So when you're committing for, in the grand scheme of things, a relatively short period of time, we commit to 2-year contracts. That's the norm for our mobile phones. So really, car manufacturers and car dealers are only asking for an extra year's commitment on a car compared to a mobile. So that's made consumers look at the expenditure slightly differently. Rather than looking at this big upfront cost, they now look at it as monthly expenditure, as you would for other household bills. So it's no surprise that research and purchasing decisions are now made online. And what we're talking about here is, should dealers be embracing the change of automotive to a digital landscape? Well, it's already happening. I mean, when you look at your next telephone and wonder where to get it from, you're going to go online and compare the best deals. Same with home insurance or mortgages. Same with sofas. Same with life insurance. And now, with automotive, we're going that way. And manufacturers, they're aware of this, so they've woken up to the fact that there is a growing consumer confidence in buying a car online. Just this week, Vauxhall announced to the press, and this was a BBC News article, that they're slimming down their dealer network. So there's plans to reduce its dealership total by about 1/3. So it's a significant reduction as consumers change the way they buy cars. The 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 trips to the dealership before a car purchase was made, it's slimming down significantly. And in many cases, it's just one trip to the dealership. The consumer's done their research online. They know what vehicle they want to buy. They've read the reviews about the dealer. They have a very strong inkling that this is the right dealer to buy from because of the reviews. Now it's a case of going down, test driving, and making that purchase. Something which is mind-bending, to be honest, but Ford and Alibaba have unveiled a car vending machine in China. So this is going back to the point I made earlier around brands waking up to the fact that providing a test drive without the lengthy process of going to a dealership, sitting down, etc. They can reserve their test drive online, test drive the vehicle, return it. I've in fact seen a BMW advertisement over the last week, 24-hour test drives being made available. So providing the customer the product, the car, for a short period of time, perhaps it gives them all they need because of the research that they're doing online. What I've seen in the 4 years that I've been at Trustpilot, and Nathan will attest this as well from his experience at Auto Trade and obviously now at Fords of Winsford, is more and more UK dealers are adopting the correct approach around omni-channel marketing and having an omni-channel strategy in terms of online touch points, offline, so print, as well as the traditional walk in, have a conversation, sit down, etc. And that's to meet the needs of the modern consumer. Going back to the point I made earlier around your typical household expenditure, it's all managed and processed and purchased online. So I don't think we're going to get to a stage in the coming 5 years where dealerships are shutting down left, right and centre because everybody's buying a car online. I don't agree with that sentiment at all. I think it's important to note that a seamless online experience will not replace the need for excellent customer service on site. You're always going to be required to train staff, have them presenting the products to the customers in the best possible way, not hard selling, not hard closing, the complete opposite of what consumers used to think dealerships were like. It's now much more of an experience rather than just being sold to. So from my side, key takeaways would be that yes, of course, reviews have become an essential tool for any business. We know that at Trustpilot, be it automotive, be it women's fashion, be it estate agents. Shoppers trust other customers' opinions and experiences. So 50, 60 years ago, my granddad with his dad, they ran their own mechanics. So Wheeler and Sons, they had it locally, and there wasn't peer-to-peer online reviews. There wasn't anything online. So how would they drum up business? Well, it was word of mouth recommendations. It would be, I've been down to Wheeler and Sons. They provide an excellent service. I'd recommend it to my friends and family. And that's how the majority of business was won. And that still happens today. Now, if I have a friend or have an acquaintance or, a work colleague that's purchased from a company and they give a really good recommendation, yeah, I'm quite likely to buy from them, and I certainly trust their opinion. But in the rare instances, well, I say rare, in fact, very common instances now online where not everyone's purchased from said company, how do I find out whether your service is good? Well, yes, I could go to your About Us web page and read all about you and try and understand what you do well. And you'll always put your best foot forward in terms of that description. But what shoppers trust more than that is independent reviews and opinions. So the automotive industry is increasingly more digital. As I say, we're not suddenly going to go from selling cars at a dealership to just selling them online. It's going to be a hybrid approach for decades, I would anticipate. I'm certainly no expert. I've got experience in automotive, experience at Trustpilot, and certainly from our forecast, it's this hybrid approach, this blend between selling cars on site, yes, but that buying and purchasing decision is now being made online. Consumers are more willing to buy cars online, especially new cars. So when you buy a new car, you've got a warranty with it, in some instances as long as 7 years. So providing some sort of test drive has taken place via one visit to the dealership, there is no reason why after that one visit the deal isn't done there, or alternatively the car's spec'd online, because dealer websites nowadays, they have all of the functionality to equip your next vehicle with the trim level, seats, etc., optional extras. It's all there at their fingertips. Some consumers would buy online after test driving a car, encouraging the optimization of reviews as part of the omnichannel strategy. So again, the more trust you can build at the top of funnel, the less work you have to do at the point of sale in saying you should buy from us because of X, Y, and Z. And by building trust at the beginning, they're less likely to look at competition. Most people will only go out and revisit another dealership because, okay, price is always going to be a dictation. So if they've not been given the best possible price they feel they can get on that vehicle, they may choose to shop around. But providing you price yourselves competitively, there's no reason why they won't buy from you there and then if trust has been built at the beginning and throughout. And certainly that leads me quite nicely on to how Nathan uses reviews and trust as part of his digital strategy. So what I'll do is I'll just hand over to Nathan.
Thank you, Christian, and hello again, everybody. So as Christian just said, I'm going to be giving an overview of our own experiences with Trustpilot and how we've been using their platform to our advantage as a used car retailer or used car supermarket. So we signed with Trustpilot shortly after I joined the business, which was around 18 months ago. And we've been in partnership with them for over 12 months now. In that time, as you can see on that slide, we've achieved a trust score of 9.1, which I think is absolutely fantastic. And that's been accumulated over 2,000 customer reviews in that time. We just clocked over this week, I think it was. So one of the first things that I did when joining the company was to carry out a few quick Google searches, mystery shops, just to see what the typical customer would see if they were researching our company online or thinking about doing business with us. What I saw wasn't great. So we had poor online PR, we had a bunch of bad reviews, some very fruity language was being used in forums and in various parts of the internet, and some things being said about certain salespeople that I had to quickly get rid of as well. And does this mean we're a bad car dealer? No, of course it doesn't. The comments on the shop floor that I saw were fantastic day in, day out. I regularly saw smiling customers walking around the forecourt, leaving in their new cars, laughing and joking. Salespeople's desks were covered in thank you cards, little notes, gifts, bottles of wine. So there's a complete difference between online and offline experiences. The problem was that nobody could see what was going on in the showroom when they were researching us online and researching our cars online. This arguably is the most important moment of the journey. So it's before they've actually got to interact with us properly, it's before they've chosen us. It's when they're going through the buying cycle, making all them decisions and totally open to influence from other dealerships, from other retailers. And that's where we needed to get all that good stuff that was going on in our locations and get that to the forefront, right at the top of that buying cycle, right at the top of that funnel, to make sure that we grabbed their attention there and then. We didn't turn them off before we even got a chance to speak to them. So all the customers that saw negative reviews, they were going unanswered. No one was monitoring the reviews that were out there. No one was replying to the reviews, which made us look even worse, made us look like we didn't care. But the fact of the matter is, nobody from our company actually knew they were out there. And obviously, customers are always a lot more likely to leave a bad review than a good review. So all the happy customers that we did see through our dealerships, they weren't rushing home to try and log on to any review website and leave us a glowing review. It did happen, but it's much more likely that if you're pretty annoyed and something's gone wrong, then you're going to rant about a company or try and slate them or vent your anger about them, which is the reason we had a lot more bad than good. So why did I choose Trustpilot? There's obviously plenty of reviews providers out there. So I needed, my mission was to reflect our physical presence online and just to get everything that was happening in the dealerships online top of funnel. The reason I chose Trustpilot mainly was because they are the biggest brand name in reviews. People know who they are, and that's where the trust aspect comes in. If you've got a review platform that nobody's ever heard of, you're fighting an uphill battle from the start, really. I had to give the readers and the people visiting our websites that validation that it's not just us as a company bigging ourselves up. It's not just Fords of Winsford trying to get customers by fabricating reviews. This is genuine feedback of what it's like to interact or shop with us. So we started sharing, once we'd built up a couple of reviews on the Trustpilot platform, we started sharing these across the website. We used the Trustpilot widgets, super easy to use, just copy some code into your website providers can do that for you. Once we built up a good score, started placing our stars in other spaces on site. So all the major decision-making points on our site, such as call to actions, contact points, interaction points, I placed our stars there, and that was just to reaffirm the customers that their intuition was right. They should be on our site. They should be interacting with us. It's okay to talk to us. They're in the right place. Car buying it's a very long buying cycle, a lot longer than most products, and it's very confusing, and customers are constantly open to influence. So you're very lucky if they are on your site in the first place, but then what you've got to do is just make them feel so comfortable that they interact with you, that they talk to you, and that you can capture them at that point, because it is so easy to lose them customers in an online world. Thank you. So, sorry, can we just go back to the previous slide? Just the bottom point there, point 3. So from an SEO point of view, we have the Google stars, thanks to Trustpilot, present when a customer searches our brand. So these are little stars that appear underneath the URL when you're doing a Google search. What these stars do is enable, well, it captures your attention when you are doing a search, which increases click-through rates by a great amount. So we've got these stars on not only our Trustpilot page, but on AutoTrader through our integration with Trustpilot and AutoTrader. Click-through rates for our website have been going up over the past couple of years now, and that is probably one of the main reasons. And also a little tip that you can do on the Google My Business pages, which I'm sure that you all have, you can write status updates now. So under your Google My Business page, you will have Google reviews, you will then have your directions, opening times, etc. There's then a box available at the bottom of this where we've been experimenting as a company with putting our Trustpilot logo and our review score, then linking that through to the reviews page on our own website. Last time we did this, we got 20,000 impressions in a week and an absolute ton of click-throughs. And the best part is it is totally free. So once you have got that good score, you want to shout about it, there's some great free ways just to get it out there. So how do we leverage our reviews? We had a load of reviews, we had a load of positive feedback, we had a great score, but it's all pretty useless if nobody knows about it, if nobody's reading them great reviews, and if nobody's making decisions based upon what you've got. So once you do have a great trust score, you're going to want to shout from the rooftops. So we place our trust score across every single marketing channel that we have. That's from a consistency point of view. I don't really care how customers interact with us. It must be consistent throughout every channel, throughout every interaction. So we have our trust score on our own website, obviously. Our Instagram, we use the image generator on the Trustpilot website, and we post them weekly. Our Twitter, our Facebook page has the Trustpilot plugin. We have the trust score, as you can see on that slide, on our TV adverts. We mention Trustpilot on our radio adverts. We have it on physical billboards that we have around. And going back to what Christian was saying earlier about AutoTrader and Motors plugins, we've integrated with both of them. So we have our stars and our reviews coming through when our customers are shopping on the classified site before they've even got to us. We also use them on digital display and physically in the showroom. So even at the point of sale, when the customer's in the showroom, I'd like to think it helps with our with the customer's decision-making process. Even at that point, we can still lose customers when they're in our showroom, when they're on our forecourt. So again, having that confirmation they're in the right place, that plenty of other people have made that decision around them, just makes them feel a bit more comfortable and a bit more likely to make a buying decision. So why does it work so well? Customers do love third-party validation. That's just a fact. Like Christian was saying before, it's happened for years. It's been word of mouth. That used to be people telling others about what a great experience they had at a shop when they were down the pub or when they were out and about with their friends. The great thing about everything being online now is it's not just your friends and family you're telling, it's the whole world. So that reach has just exploded. And as a company, we've got a policy that we don't shy away from inviting anyone to leave us a review, even if it is a bad one. If we have a customer where we've maybe had a complaint, a physical complaint, before we've even invited them for a review, I will never remove their email from having an invite. I want it to be completely transparent. And from a customer point of view, reading, it's real. Everyone gets 1, 2, 3-star reviews. If they're a real company, no one's perfect. We're not perfect. But what that does is give you a great opportunity to then reply, to turn that around, to show that you care, to show that you're willing to help people when things do go wrong. We're getting really good at that. And when you can showcase that online where you've tackled a problem and rectified it, that again just gives even more trust. Probably more powerful than a 5-star review if you get a 1-star that you can turn around and help that customer out. Not only that, but the bad reviews from an internal processes point of view help us massively. We can see where we're falling down. We can see where things are going wrong. And across all of our reviews, using the analytics that Trustpilot provides, I can group these together. So if our valet's a particularly poor one month, or our customer service drops another month, or something on our website goes wrong, when the reviews come through and that gets mentioned, it gives us areas where we can really concentrate on and try and improve on. So it's a two-pronged approach. The customers, they see it as totally transparent and they trust it even more than ever. We can use it to market ourselves with how good we are when things do go wrong. And then I can pass that information around the managers to say, okay, we need to work on these specific areas because this is where the customers are telling me that we're falling down. So having that transparency doesn't only benefit the customer, but it massively benefits our business as well. That's me done. Thank you very much for listening, and we're more than happy to invite any questions.
Hey Nathan, it's Christian. I've got a couple of questions that have come through, and they're both directed at you, so I'm off the hook. First one is, how do you manage your reviews? Quite a broad question, but maybe that's alluding to sort of the process that you follow in managing the invitations, etc.
Yeah, so the answer is not exactly how I would like. I do know that Trustpilot has certain functionality where every time you sell a product to a customer, it automatically fires out an invite to that email on a set time. So you can have it maybe a day later or 2 days after purchase, and it's all automated. Our systems are pretty old, as a lot of car dealers are, so I've got to manually pull our sales data. I do that once a week. I've experimented with different days, found that a Wednesday gets me the best response for some reason. It might vary for others. And once I've pulled that sales data, I can manually input that into our Trustpilot portal. And then from there, everybody from that week will get sent an invite. How we manage that when the invites then come through, when the replies then come through and the reviews then come through. I've got a small team, there's 3 of us. 2 of the guys in the team, Ben and Will, they will jump on any 4 or 5-star reviews to thank anybody straight away. Really important to do that, obviously. I mean, there are a lot of dealers who don't see the value in actually commenting back on 4 and 5-star reviews because they think, right, job done, that's great, and only tackling negative ones. But if you see, if customers can see that you're putting the time and effort into looking after them post-purchase, that's a really powerful thing, I believe. So we make sure we do that. Any reviews that are a 1, 2, or a 3-star, they will get circulated around every member of our management team. The reason I do that, I've not done that forever. They always used to just come straight to my inbox. If I was busy in meetings or on the road, I might not have got to them in time. I think speed of replies is really important. Once I did get them, I might not have the full story as to how to reply to that. So now every member of the management team can see the reviews. The appropriate people can jump on it, send a reply back to me, and then I will reply to every single one of them as well.
Awesome. So the second question we had come through, and it's quite an interesting one. Do reviews help you increase your bottom line? So typical sales question.
That's a bit broad, but so in short, in terms of bottom line, in terms of car sales, in short, no, reviews do not sell cars. What I think reviews do is increase interactions. So at them specific points on your website, during the customer's journey, wherever they may be, when you give them that affirmation that it's the right place to be, it's the right thing to do, and they're surrounded by other people who have bought from you and taken a similar journey, surely your interactions will be increasing off the back of that. Your click-through rates, your form submissions, people clicking to call you, and people just rocking up at your dealership as a result of what they've seen online. And then from the back of them interactions, the rest of the process takes over, and the more interactions you can have, you can turn them into appointments, you can turn them into sales. Indirectly, it must do. I wouldn't invest in it otherwise. But directly, no, reviews don't actually sell something straight away. It's all part of the big picture. Definitely impacts though.
Awesome. So I think we'll draw it to a close now. So what we'll do is we'll provide the slide deck and recordings of the webinar. First of all, to those that attended, anyone that didn't attend as well but registered, and yeah, if there are any additional questions that sort of spring to mind over the coming hours, days, Nathan's email is below, so you can absolutely contact him directly, sort of share experiences from a dealership standpoint. And if there's any questions around sort of Trustpilot's influence in online, be it Auto Trader, be it Motors, be it whoever, I'd be more than happy to jump on a call. My email address is there, kwh@trustpilot.com. But yeah, thanks to everybody that joined, and have a rest of your day.